Hey everyone, welcome back to Make the Music. It's great to have you here. In today's video, I'm going to build out some Foo Fighters style guitar tones in my DAW. I'm going to be using the Slate FOO Overloud plugin that they provide with their Slate bundle. I know a lot of people have this AmpSim plugin. It's super underrated, and I wanted to showcase some of its features in this video here as I build out this Foo Fighters tone. So everyone knows Dave Grohl is a pioneer of the alternative, grunge, hard rock guitar sound. When you think of hard rock, especially 90s and 2000s, and the guys are still going, you have to think of Foo Fighters, right? They use a variety of clean tones. They have great sort of grungy style lead sounds, but also that clean, nice, overdriven, punchy rhythm sound. And so I want to build that out here in my DAW. I've got a sample track pulled up. I got some DIs ready. So we're going to build out the guitar tone from scratch. If you're having trouble building guitar tones in your home studio, I have a guide called The 5 Rules of Guitar Tone. You can find that in the description down below. It's 100% free. Also check out my playlist where I got a bunch of videos on how I build out guitar tones in your DAW in a home studio setting. So let's jump into the video here and let's build out this guitar tone from scratch. Okay, so I'm in my DAW now. I have a bunch of DIs. They all sound like this. Obviously, they don't have amps on them yet. I'm using Best of You as kind of the template for this building out these tones. So the tracks kind of sound like this. So I've just got some DIs. Let's start building out this guitar tone. Let's start with the rhythm tones now. So for the rhythm guitars, I'm going to solo them. They sound like this. So let's start building out the rhythm guitar tone. Let's open up our plugin. Let's go with Overloud by FOO. It's part of the Slate bundle. And let's see what kind of preset they start us off with, and let's tweak from that. I also like to have the full track pulled up so I can build out the tone and see if it fits with the other instruments in real time. So this is kind of like a Fender Deluxe sort of thing we got going on here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me enhance the size of the plugin. Let's see what this sounds like on the rhythm right and left channels. It doesn't sound too bad. Definitely some tweaks I want to make here. It's a little too clean. It's a little too top end heavy. Let's try a few other amp settings. So we know Dave Grohl, he likes Vox sounds. He likes Fender Deluxe sounds. Let's try the 59. I'm going to remove the dark face. That doesn't sound bad either. We can mess with the cabs and microphones. Let's replace with this top 30. This is like a Vox cab. I definitely do like this Vox cab sort of sound. It's got a good character to it. Let's try a Vox in and of itself. Let's try the top 30 amp. That's a Vox amp. So I'm going to remove the 59. They have some controls here. We can zoom in by clicking the zoom button. We go top cut. It's going to get darker. We dial that back. It's going to get brighter. You also mess with the bass and treble. You see it started to get real harsh when we did that. I do like this Vox sound. I'm using the treble and top cut control to try and get it to cut through but not be overly annoying or too bright. Now for the Vox AC30, the volume control is kind of the gain control in and of itself. So if we up the volume here, you can see it gets way less dirty when I turn the volume down. And as I crank the volume, we get more and more gain. The level is just simply going to be the output, so that's not going to affect the actual amp. What I want to do is mess with the mic positions here. We can actually add a condenser here. Let's see what we have for A. We've got a whole bunch of mics. Let's try the tube mic D1. Because I do like the attack. I like the top end that I'm getting out of the Vox, but it's a little too bright in some of the 4K range. Maybe there's a Neumann, America 57, so that's obviously going to be like a SM57. German Tube 47 would be like a Neumann U47 or something. I like how round that mic's a little more round than the SM57. That's got a nice character to it. We could try adding a drive pedal. What if we add just a nice drive pedal before the amp? Let's see what that does. Let's add this BD2. I think subtly before the amp, it adds some compression and just a little extra distortion. So in the track, that's actually doing a lot of good. I actually like that quite a bit. Let's add a space to this main tone with reverb, a really, really light room reverb. We don't want to overdo this at all, but just add a little bit, almost to make it feel like that amp is in a room, or maybe they're playing live in a room. So like if I went this wet, that's super washed out, no good. We don't want to do that much. Let's keep the time down. Let's keep the size down. It just adds some life to the amp. And actually can do some good in terms of kind of softening the tone. That's great. That's definitely a Foo Fighters style tone. Let's add some EQ. Equalizer, this parametric EQ I like. We can kind of come in. I want to add a little more presence and a little more body to this and maybe strip a little bit of the ultra top. Obviously that's too dark. Let's cut it around 10. I kind of like there. Let's add a little bit of like low mids. So I'm using this as a high pass filter. Let's high pass it at like 100. So if I bypass this whole thing, it's kind of rounding it out a little bit, giving it a little more body. I do like what it's doing. It feels less thin. It feels like it's got some body and some roundness to it. So that's kind of our main tone. And what I'm going to do here, since that's on these two rhythm tracks, is I'd like to kind of extrapolate that to the rest of the sounds here. We have a lead sound. Here's what the lead sound sounds like. It's kind of playing single notes. I want to make this even more distorted. A great trick also is to get different tones to stick out in a mix is mix up the cabinet or mic. So I'm going to swap this out for the American 57. Already it has a different character than the rhythm tones. Because it has a different mic, it's going to have a different EQ curve. That's a great trick, by the way. Let's add a little delay to this as well. Let's add some tape delay. I'm also going to back off the EQ so it can kind of fit. So the tone has a similar vibe because we're using a similar amp and cab, but because I mic'd it with a different mic and I took the EQ off, it has its own place, but it doesn't feel out of place, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel completely different from the rest of the guitar tones where it sticks out in a bad way, but it feels cohesive, yet has its own place. Let's add this delay here. Great, that's a good amount. Let's reduce the time a little bit. Let's make it time dependent. I want to make it BPM dependent, but it's a tape delay, so I guess we could tap it. I kind of just tap the tempo. That's working well. So what I'm going to do is copy that tone over to my second lead, which is just another octave part. If we get to like the pre-chorus or chorus. Got a nice orchestra of guitars going on here. Okay, now we have the solo tone. Let's copy this lead tone over to the solo, but we can be a little more adventurous with this. To help this stick out even more, let's try the Fender Deluxe sound. So let's go to, I always forget what, sometimes in these amp sims, I forget like what the fake name is and which one that correlates to the real amp, because it's like different in amplitude, it's different in bias, it's different in every plugin. So sometimes I forget. Let's try the Darkface 65. Let's swap out the cab as well. Let's go to the Blue Lux. Okay, that's super filtered. I don't want to go with that. Let's try the Darkface. Let's give it more treble. I want even more reverb and delay on this thing, so I'm going to swap out the room reverb for an even wetter reverb. I do like this EQ, so I might throw the EQ back on, but have a little more presence in the upper mids. So let's play all the guitars together. So I'm also going to use a compressor on the way in to make every note feel like it's super present and super locked in. But it needs more top, it needs more upper mids. I think that fits in the track perfectly. There you go. That's how I built out some Foo Fighter style guitar tones in my DAW using FOO Slate Overloud. Pretty useful amp sim. It comes free with the Slate bundle and it's incredible. It's also really light on the DSP, which as I continue to build out projects and they get really big, sometimes I just throw that sucker on because it's light DSP. I can get a good tone out of it pretty quick, and you find that's pretty useful in a home studio environment. So that's how I built out the tone. If you have questions about that, leave it in a comment down below. Pick up the guide, The 5 Rules of Guitar Tone. It's just me trying to help you out, help you get the best tones possible. If you have suggestions about tones you'd like to see me match in my DAW using whatever plugin, leave a comment down below and I'll check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Anyways, I will see you guys next time.